afternoon. It's close enough. It's 3 minutes. I feel like I can say afternoon, right? I meant to send you guys a sheet and I forgot, so I'll put it in the chat right now, but you don't have to print it if you don't want, you can just write on paper. I should probably find it first. How's everybody doing? Great day. Some of you are celebrating because you already your final. Right? And so you're like, woohoo, I'm already done with that part. Now I can just enjoy class. Sorry. Okay, here's the worksheet we're working on today. It's operations on decimals. And it's a Google Doc, so you just make a copy if you want. And then some of you, I don't know if you've filled this out yet. I should have clued you in on this as a possibility at some point. Some of you write on paper, right? Like regular paper. That's totally fine. But then you do your notebook electronically, or you just want it on the worksheet kind of thing. So another option that you can do is you can write on paper, and then you can take pictures of your paper and then just insert them into the Google Doc. Genius, right? Because then you have the worksheet, but you also have your handwritten work in the same document. And that's very helpful to some of you, right? So that's an option. All right. Any questions, concerns, anything I need to cover before we start? While we're waiting for people. Okay, anyone wear a shirt they want to share? It is Tuesday, just in case you forgot. It's also Taco Tuesday if you need tacos, or if you want to tell me about tacos, you could too. No one has a shirt on that they want to wear. I can tell you guys are tired, right? You're like, we are worn out. We need spring break. We need this class to be done. Vanessa, what is on the pocket of your shirt?
It says life is a peach.
So cute. I thought it was a lemon, but it's obviously not.
Yeah,
so.
I think it faded.
It's cute.
I think the peach faded, but it says life is a peach. So
nice. Life is a peach. Actually, I hate peaches. So sorry.
I only like them cold.
No, I don't like them.
They have to be cold.
I have some texture issues. So that's a problem. That's a personal issue. Some of you feel my pain. You have a texture issue. Same with raspberries. Can't do it. Yep, can't do it.
I think I used to do that with bananas. I think I'm allergic to bananas, but I still eat them.
That doesn't seem very bright. What do they make you sick?
I mean, like stomach? It just makes like my mouth tingle for a little bit, but I don't think anything like major. I mean, like
Yeah,
I've been eating them my whole life.
that's probably bad though, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm not allergic. I'm just a picky brat. That's the key. And I have some of my kids are very picky as well, so I guess that's what you get, right? Um, whatever. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to share my shirt. Are you excited? Yeah. I like Tyler's Dutch shirt. Karina, I can't read your shirt. What's it say? Oh, we've read this one. Motivator, innovator, believer, teacher. Love that one. You told us, I think Walmart. I think you told us where to get it.
Yeah, this is my favorite work shirt because it's like soft and comfortable. And
Yeah.
the kids always get me dirty anyway. So
Nice. Okay, are you ready? It's a real bad. Oh my gosh, Sarah, that is hilarious. Sarah, do you care if I share that with the class?
No, I don't care. It's just like my luck this week.
So Sarah said her new puppy chewed up her computer charger cord, so she's on her phone. And what's hilarious about that, I mean, that's not hilarious. I'm super sorry you're dealing with that. That was what I was supposed to say. Sorry. I was laughing because my boss just sent us a picture in a group chat. She has a puppy and her puppy chewed through her modem cord, like to her modem. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can show you this picture. Can you see that cord? To drive to Cox, and she was trying to teach, and she kept like cutting in and out, and she was like, what is happening? And she checked after class, and that's what it was. So that's why I was laughing, Sarah, not because I thought it was funny that your dog chewed it up, but apparently, so then she texted all of us, this is the newest version of my dog ate my homework, right? Like, what can you do? Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I shouldn't even say anything because who knows? My dogs could be eating something right now, right? It's true. Okay, here's my shirt today. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry I'm late. I took the wrong bus. It's really dumb, but I love it. Love it. And the reason I was, I just started geometry with my online 257s. So, yay, it's very appropriate, although they don't see my t-shirts. I'm thinking next semester, every week, I should take a photo of me in my shirt and post it on their slides that they see. It's a great idea. I just thought of that. I'm gonna write that down. Okay. So we are almost done. You guys are doing amazing. I was telling somebody, Vanessa, I think this morning when we were meeting about a conference I went to this weekend that was outstanding. It was called Excellence in Mathematics. And they told us a lot of research facts that I knew that some you forget. And you change your teaching style because things that teachers have is a lot of teachers feel a lot of pressure from the districts to complete their curriculum, right? You have a pacing, you have an order, you have all of this, and you feel a lot of stress, and you feel like, how will you ever get through everything, right? So you start teaching, but you provide things that are not really opportunities for your students to engage in learning. So we need thinking activities instead. And you're like, wait a minute, every activity is a think activity. No, I did a perfect example of a non-thinking activity yesterday with you. You guys had a worksheet and I talked and you guys just wrote stuff down, right? And every once in a while you talked. That was really not providing opportunities for you to think, believe it or not. So this research showed that In a regular classroom, when teachers do a variety of activities where students are taking notes or working on worksheets or things like that, most of the time the students are not engaged in thinking. In fact, his research showed that 80% of the time, students in a classroom, in a math class lesson, were doing zero thinking. 80% of the students were thinking 0% of the time. And 20% of the students were thinking 20% of the time. That's it. That's awful. So, what were they doing because they were busy in class? Well, they were taking notes, right? Which is not a thinking activity, right? How many of you are like, yep, that's true. I just write the stuff down. I don't even really know what's happening. Yeah. So, and do a variety of things. They do mimicking. Yes, mimicking is a good example. And classrooms, teachers give a little lesson, do an example, and then I'm guilty of it too. Say, now you try one, right? Well, what's the student going to do? Well, 25% of the students actually try it. 25% of the students do activities that could be considered not really off task, like this is the time they go sharpen their pencil or they get a drink of water, right? So they care about what the teacher thinks of them, right? Then 25% of the students are literally just doing off task behavior. They don't really care what the teacher thinks of them. And the other 25% of the students are just stalling. They're just waiting because in a few minutes, you're going to tell them the answer and they didn't have to think at all. How depressing is that as a teacher, right? So that's depressing. So what are the opportunities to provide thinking for students? Number one, give thinking tasks, which seems obvious, but not taking notes, not giving mini lectures. Have all the students up at the boards, which is a little challenging in our environment right now, right? But I can put you in breakout rooms and only give the problem verbally. Yikes. That's terrifying to me and very counterintuitive. I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Like I always have it written on the screen or whatever. And they said, yeah, all their research shows that we spend so much time as teachers making sure every single student understands that we're wasting a ton of time. And by the time you make sure every student understands, they're not thinking anymore. Right? So what we need to do is, this was a fascinating discussion. This is obviously discussing a face-to-face classroom. You give instructions, right, on what they're supposed to do, and you give the problem. You only need 6 students to understand what the task was. That's it. You only need 6 students to understand. You put them all up at the boards in groups, right? By the way, random groups, and they talk to each other. And if they don't understand, they ask another group, right? Or you're walking around facilitating their conversation. And when you walk up to a group that's totally off base because they just didn't understand the problem, you say, are you doing the same problem that the rest of us are doing? And they're going to look at the other people's boards and they're like, oh, apparently not. Maybe we need to rethink this. So what they noticed was kids are engaged then and thinking, amazingly amounts of thinking. So that being said, yesterday I provided you not a thinking day. So what was a thinking day in our class like? You know what a thinking day in our class was like? Candy factory day. Yeah, remember that day? How many of you left class with your head hurting? Yeah, you were like, what is happening? But what was interesting, and the other thing that I forget about this is a lot of you kept at it and you asked me a question the next day about the candy factory, right? Because you were thinking, you couldn't let it go. When I'm doing all the thinking and you're just mimicking, stalling, moving along, taking notes, being active, right? Doing those things, you don't think about it once you're done. You're like, yep, peace out, we're done. I understood it. After yesterday's lesson, probably most of you were like, yeah, I understood everything yesterday, right? Didn't have to think at all. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. Bethel, figuring out those ancient number systems. That's a great example. Remember when we gave you those cards and you had to figure them out? That's a perfect example. Some of you had to figure it out. Yeah. And you let me know. Can you hear my cat knocking on the door? It's super irritating. I will be letting the cat out in a moment. But before we do, I'm going to talk to you. Actually, I'm going to not even share my screen, which is good because I'm not sharing it yet. This is the game we're going to play. I'm going to say a number. Yes? You're going to write it down. Yes? So you have to listen very carefully. I'm just going to say the number. I'll say it twice, and you're going to write it down. When you're done, if you have a whiteboard, you could just hold it up on the whiteboard. If you want to type it in the chat, you totally could. Okay? So I will say the number. Oh, I should probably find the numbers that I was going to say. I know, it's very funny. I'm very good at that. Okay. 1 second. Are you ready? I think that's a yes. Did you just hear my cat say yes? My cat just said yes to you. My cat was like, yes, I am ready to get out of here. Okay. 3 2/10. 3 2/10. And by the way, we're writing decimals. 3 2/10. All right. Somebody want to hold it up? Show me what it looks like. Type it in the chat, whatever you got. Very nice. I can see Jessica's. Nice. Excellent. Okay. Karina, be careful. It's 3 2/10. So do you see in the chat? Yeah. Okay. Sarah just typed in the chat 3.20. Is that still 3 2/10? It is. Might I read it differently? How else might I read it? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying what's another way I could read the 3, a decimal point, a 2, and a 0?
Would it be 3 20 hundredths?
Very nice. So I might read it as 3 20 hundredths, but it's nice to know that we have the same. When I do this in a classroom, by the way, all my students have whiteboards and they hold them up. Yeah. They hold them up and nobody cares. You might think that they care if their answer is wrong and someone else is wrong. They don't even notice because they're so busy holding up their whiteboard. They don't even care. Right. So no worries. And my students know, when to put their whiteboard down once we do it, especially in an elementary school classroom works great. Okay. You ready? 32 hundredths. 32 hundredths. $32 hundredths. Very nice. You can type it in the chat, whatever you got. Very nice. And notice some of us put the 0 to the left and some of us don't. I don't know if you've ever asked your teacher, do we need the 0 there or do we not need the 0 there? And your teachers, have all kinds of, disclaimers. What do you guys think about that? Do you need to put the 0 there to the left of the decimal point?
I feel like it's smart to put it just because sometimes the decimal is so small you don't see it and then it could potentially affect like what answer you get. So I think you should.
Yeah, I vote yes too. Because boy, those dots, kids are tricky, right? And they're like, I don't really know if the decimal point's supposed to be there. So especially when you're giving an assignment on decimals, they'll make it so faint and they're trying to make you play multiple choice or multiple guess. My rule is if I have to guess, unfortunately, you're wrong because I'm a bad guesser. That's what I always tell them. So that will reinforce, make sure I can see that decimal point, right? So if I see the 0 to the left, then I don't have to guess, right? Then I know I'm going to be a good guesser and you're going to get it right. Okay, you ready for the next one? Yeah? Everybody ready? Your teachers would mark it wrong saying it was not needed. Karina, to talk. Where did you go to school? Did you go to school here in town?
Yeah, it was at American Leadership Academy. I mean, it was a good school, but I don't know. A lot of the teachers would say that they didn't like it and stuff. But they taught me a lot of things that you say are the right way, and I like the way you teach it, and they would say that was wrong. But
Yeah. That's why I wanted to know. I know people at ALA, so yeah, nice. Which one did you go to? Which ALA?
So I went in the elementary, when I was in elementary, I went to the one in Mesa. It's like down the street from my house. And then for high school, I went to the one in Queen Creek.
All right, good to know. Yes. So sometimes it's not a bad school. Sometimes there's a good school and you just had a teacher who might, let's say, maybe show you things that weren't the best habits to get into, right? So, or just only teaching shortcuts. They think they're producing these math machines, which they might be, but they have no conceptual understanding. All right, you ready? Listen carefully. 32 and 45 thousandths. 32 and 45 thousandths.
I'm sorry, I showed up a little late. What are we?
You're writing whatever the decimal is that I'm saying, the
Okay.
number that I'm saying. So 32 and 45 thousandths. All right, nice. I can see that. That's a tricky one, right? Because we can put that 0 in the wrong place. Anyone want to hold up their board? It's really hard in here for me to do it this way. I don't know how else to do it. Very nice, Hannah. Okay. So we can play this game a long time. This is a great activity to do in your class for warm up, right? Because once you do this for a little bit, then you move to, actually, the first time you do it, if you don't give them directions and you say something like 3 2/10, half the class will write a mixed number, 3 and then 2/10. That's great. That's not a bad thing, right? And then, of course, what'll happen is some kid in your class will go, "You're wrong," right? She wanted a decimal. And that's your perfect opportunity to say, "Wait, did I say write a decimal? If I didn't say, that looks good to me." That just reinforces the idea that fractions and decimals are read the same, right? So that's a fun activity to do. You can have students do it to each other, right? You can have a student teacher come up and announce these things. But what this really moves us towards is rounding decimals, right? Rounding and comparing decimals, which is a very frustrating activity for both students and teachers, right? If you don't believe me, has anyone ever been in a room when you're trying to teach rounding? Yeah, of decimal numbers? And here's the problem, that when you start teaching rounding with decimal numbers, what teachers assume is that the student already knows how to round whole numbers. That's a huge assumption you just made, right? Because most of the time they don't. Yeah. So they don't know those rounding. They don't know how to round whole numbers. Well, if you can't round whole numbers, you certainly can't round decimals. Right? Because it's the same idea, but a little bit harder. So that would be considered a prerequisite skill, right? For that activity. Okay. I know I told you we're going to do that, and we are, I promise. It's not what I wanted. Okay. So I'm not sure if we did this in our whole number unit. We talked about rounding whole numbers, but did we talk about which number we did? I remember now, which number it's closer to. Do you remember that? Where we said, is it closer to 6 rods or 7 rods? We were using base 10 blocks when we did that. Sound familiar? Yeah. So you do the same idea with decimals. Now, some of you are probably like, wait a minute. How do you do it with base 10 blocks then? Well, you don't have to use base 10 blocks, but you can. If you think of base 10 blocks as now, just like we did yesterday with our decimal booklet, the whole grid would be one whole, but one rod or one long would be a 10th, right? And then one unit would actually be 100th. Yeah, tricky. Does that seem so? You can still use base 10 blocks even when you get to decimals. That's what they're called. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this for just a minute. Man, my technology is very troubling today. Sorry, guys. We didn't know we'd have to be in Tech Town too, but it'll be okay. We can do it. We can do it. All right. Can you see this rounding decimals worksheet on my screen? Yeah. So if we're rounding 5 and 32 hundredths to the nearest tenth, it's really nice if we have that question. Is it closer to 5 and 3/10 or 5 and 4/10? And then they might picture it on a number line. They might picture it with base 10 blocks, right? They might think about it, but our rounded number is 5 and 3/10. And using a place value chart, like we looked at a little bit yesterday, can help students. So if we're looking at 37 and 9/100ths rounded to the nearest whole number, did you ever notice that the directions on rounding decimals is what gets complicated? Because sometimes they say round to the nearest hundredths, and then sometimes they say round to 2 decimal places. Yeah, and sometimes they say round to 4 decimal places or round to the nearest dollar. And you're like, oh my gosh, can you just tell me which one I'm rounding to? Yeah, and that's the hardest part. So you have to change your language too for students and give them lots of opportunities to practice. So if we're doing 37 and 9/100ths, 37 and 9/100ths, and we want it to the nearest whole number, what is the question I'm being asked? Is it closer to which one? What would I write in this blank?
37.
Yeah, 37 or 38. Once they do that, they can figure it out, right? But it's getting their choices down. So is it closer to 37 or closer to 38? Well, it's closer to 37. And they might even, you probably saw where they showed you a number line, right? And you had to picture where it would be on the number line. Yeah. So notice that I changed my language here. First it says 100th, then it says 1 decimal place, then it says 2 decimal places. That's a really important thing to do with your students. And my favorite is when teachers get worksheets and they put up worksheets and every single problem on there is only rounded to the nearest 10th. That's not helping your students, right? And besides that, do you really want to do a whole worksheet on rounding? That sounds terrible, right? How about we do some problems and then we discuss rounding and we talk about what would make sense to round this number to. Okay. So you can do this worksheet if you want. It totally makes sense. It's not a big deal. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not sure we love it. So, but has any of you ever had a teacher who teaches decimal place value with money? Anyone have that teacher? Yeah, that's a great strategy. Money kind of fits really nicely in it, right? A dollar is the whole, a dime is a 10th, and a penny is the cent or the unit, right? The 100th. And then they can see how our place value system is built. So it takes 10 pennies to make a dime. It takes 10 dimes to make a dollar. So they see that power of 10. Do you see how this goes all the way back to our number system? Yeah, all the way back to like week 2 when you were crying. Yeah, remember that? I love it how you're smiling. You're like, yeah, I remember that vividly. Okay. And then again, the color coordinating that we did was very helpful. Okay. So, there's just more of that. Now, this is an interesting one. Suppose we want to compare 151 thousandths to 3/10. Remember we talked about this a little bit yesterday when kids think the longer the number, the bigger it must be. So a lot of kids would pick this as the bigger value, right? A lot would pick 151 thousandths, especially because you read it as 151. It seems big, right? Yeah. So here's a nice way you can show it with like blocks. So if you use this for a tenth, the blue one for a tenth, the green one for 100th, and the little orange one for 1,000th, you can build it. And they could build it with rods, with base 10 blocks, with anything. But that might help them see, especially because did any of you have the teachers that made you put it in a place value chart and make them the same length? Did any of you have this teacher that made you write a 0 here and a 0 here as your strategy? Yeah. Why'd they do that?
That's kind of like creating common denominators so that you read it as 300,000 instead of 3/10.
Yeah, it is. It's all connected to fractions. So this is like 151 thousandths compared to 300 thousandths. Now I can compare them. Just like when I was comparing fractions, it was hard when they didn't have the same denominator. It was easy when they did have the same denominator. The same can be true with decimals. Yeah? Interesting. I'm going to challenge you guys to do this one right now. Use quarters as benchmarks. So we know what quarters are, right? Okay. Like 25 cents is a quarter. Right? I might write that with a decimal point, a 2 and a 5, or 25 hundredths. Okay. To approximate the decimals on the number line, label the points underneath the number line. So draw a number line from -3 to +3 and approximate where those decimals are. When you're done, type to me in the chat that you're done. All right, now I'm getting a lot of you that are done. Who would like to share their number line and just kind of hold it up, show your thinking? Don't everybody volunteer at once.
I can go. It's not drawn very great to scale, but I can at least try.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So I apologize. It's really small. I didn't account for having to put it up on the screen. I don't know if you can all see that or not. It's very difficult. For each one, for like, if I can even see where I'm at, for 1.6, I took halfway point between 1 and 2, and I adjusted just ever so slightly to account for the 0.1 extra that, or the 1/10 that it would be extra. So that way it's not exactly 1/2. For the 2 and 9/10, I realize I just changed my vocabulary a little bit there. Because I know it's just shy of 3, but it's greater than 3 and 75 hundredths or 3 and 3/4. I put it just shy of the 3 as well to kind of show that it wasn't quite 3, but it was almost there. And then same for the negatives. For -1 and 4/10, I did the same thing I did for 1 and 6/10, but instead I put it, so instead of -1 and 5/10, I brought it just shy of that point there. And I don't know if you can see that. I can't even see it on my own screen there. And made that my -1 and 4/10. And then the same for -2 and 8/10, because I know that's just above or just below technically -2 and 3/4. I put it just a little bit past that point.
Nice. Okay, so you were thinking about quarters, but you didn't mark them on your number line, right?
Correct.
Did anyone mark the quarters on their number line?
I marked them.
Nice. Can you show us your,
Yeah.
Hannah? Did you find that marking the quarters made it a little bit easier?
Yes, it did. Tyler explained it really well, but yeah, marking the quarters just helps to visualize those 25 hundredths a little bit better.
Nice. And it still reinforces that connection fraction to decimal, right? So excellent. Okay, now, since I want to give you a thinking task, I'm going to challenge you all. I'm putting you in breakout rooms. You have the operations on decimals worksheet, right? There's very nice directions on the worksheet. I promise there really are. Okay. You're going to work on that with your teams in your breakout rooms. You can ask me questions. You can come back to the main room. You can send me a message that says, can I go spy on another room? That's totally fine. Like, no worries. I might even rotate you, one of you, from your room to the next room. So this isn't something you have to turn in. This is something I want to make sure you understand. Okay. So everybody has the worksheet? Yes? Do I need to put it in the chat again? Let me put it in the chat again. You can do it on paper. It doesn't have to be on the worksheet. And remember, like I said, some of you who are writing on paper might just want to put your images in the worksheet just for the future so you have it. You know, it's up to you. Okay, so it's in the chat. I'm going to open your breakout rooms and I'm going to come and spy on you and make sure if you need help. Okay? Okay, excellent. I think I have everybody in a room. Okay, there you go. Sorry, Brianna, I'll put you in a room now. There you go. You should get it now. Kelsey, you should see a thing to go to room 3.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I'm normally in room 5.
I put you in random rooms today.
Okay. I just came in halfway, so.
Yeah, nope, you're good. Someday I'll remember to unmute myself before I talk. Hi. Some of you are back. I'm going to put the exit ticket in the chat so I don't keep you too terribly long. I will stay after if anybody wants to stay after because we want to discuss something about the final. And I'll just keep the recording on. So if you guys can't stay, but you want to watch it later, you can. I just put the exit ticket in the chat. My screen is not cooperating with me right now. Sorry about that. So what you guys worked on in class today was the decimal operations worksheet. So everyone who was here, you're good. You don't have to turn it into me. You can, but you don't have to. Notice that this was not on your oral exam, right? There were no decimal operations on your oral exam. And if you looked at the Canvas review sheet, it wasn't really on there either, right? We talked about rounding decimals and reading and writing decimals, but that's it. So this was more of just exploratory and make sure you can kind of see what's happening. And some of you are in classrooms where you can see from your own experiences that students are doing these decimal operations very differently than you learned them, right? Because they have a stronger understanding of the mathematics instead of just memorizing things. A lot of you are like, decimals are easy. I don't know what we're doing, right? It's okay. So no worries. So I think your exit ticket is fairly reasonable. I don't think it's terrible. Yeah, it's rounding. So you should be fine. If you have trouble, we can talk. I'm going to make sure I stop talking. So if you need to go, you can go. But I'm going to stay here and I'm going to keep recording if anybody has any questions, okay, for at least a few minutes. All right. Otherwise, 2 more days. 2 more days. What is happening? 2 more days. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm here, Bethel, if you need me.
Yeah, did you post the form? The
Yeah.
survey?
But the exit ticket,
Yeah,
I'll put it in again. There you go.
thank you.
Yep. That should be it, I hope.
Are we going to talk about one of these
Yeah.
boxes?
Well, we're not going to talk about that one, but we'll talk
Not that
about one
but
like
like
it.
a different one?
Yep. In just 1 second. Let me let everybody finish what they're doing first.
Okay.
Aha, I tricked a lot of people on the exit ticket. If it says round to the nearest thousandths, you have to put a 0 at the end. It has to end in the thousandths place. So even though you're technically equivalent, like SA, Tristan, Elena, Jessica, Amanda, Hannah, Tyler, Hannah, and Kelsey, to be completely accurate, you need that 0 there. That's just me being picky. Okay. Let me find the one that we will talk about. Some people wanted to talk about number 3, but I'm not going to talk about number 3, but I'll talk about one that's like number 3. Okay. Sound good? Okay. Before I start that, any other questions? Hannah. Yeah. For the second one, it's just 1,000. So it needs to end in the ones place. So it would just be 4,000. Okay. Any other questions before I start on that other problem? No, you're just all breathlessly waiting for that one.
I kind of just have a comment, but it's
I'm
about
ready.
the oral exam, or sorry, the final exam, but I think I'll just message you on Canvas about it.
You can
'cause
message me right here, and then I'll see if I can talk about it out loud if you want. Message me directly.
Okay.
What's it about? I think we can probably talk about it. I don't think it's probably super duper secret. I was going to share something that I thought was on my screen somewhere. Okay, hold on one sec. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's fine. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yes? All right. So you see that number 3 looks extraordinary, or part C looks extraordinarily similar to yours. That's why we're not going to do that one. So we'll do B. So do you see how B is similar? Yeah.
Okay, I'm out of here. That one already gave me a headache yesterday.
Sunita's like, I'm done. Goodbye.
Have fun,
You already did
everybody.
your oral exam, so you're good.
Yeah, have fun with that one.
Yeah, no worries. You're good.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay. So, Alyssa's the one who brought up this question. So on part B, the question says, you know, name the fractional part shaded when possible. Explain your reasoning and identify any dilemmas you have. So what's your dilemma on part B, which would be the same as your dilemma on part C, but we're only talking about B.
Essentially it looks like 2 fractions to me. Because I wouldn't know how.
It looks like 5 fractions to me.
Well, look at me learning.
Or 6 fractions to me. I mean, what are we talking about when we're talking about fractions?
Well, I guess the 2 different amounts. So like the top one looks like it would be equivalent to the bottom, but it's 2 different shaded areas.
So what you're saying is the sizes are not the same. So
Yeah.
in part A, all the blocks are the same size. So you feel confident in just saying there's 4 out of 16 shaded, right?
Yes.
But in part B, that is not true.
No, it looks like 2 different
Okay.
ones.
I agree. They're not the same size.
Okay.
So what do you want to happen?
I I think that when discussing it over, it's 2 of them, and like this would be 1/2 and then this would be 1/3.
This would be 1/2, this top one?
Yeah.
Okay.
and then 1/3. And then I don't know if you add them together or
Okay, well, I have a question. 1/2 of what?
I don't know, just there's 2 squares there and one of them are shaded. So
I
one-
agree. There's 2 squares there and one of them shaded. I 100% agree. I agree.
Yes. That's all I've got.
So let's go back over here to part A. In part A, this would be 1/16. This would be 1/16. This would be 1/16, and this would be 1/16, right?
Yeah.
So how do you find your answer to that one?
Adding up to 1/16.
Okay, so you do add them, yes? So the reason you're allowed to add them is because they're all the same size, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, but wait a minute, I have a question. I just told you this was 1/16. Why isn't it 1/4?
Oh, well, if you look at it that way, it is.
So is it 1/16 or is it 1/4?
Well, 1/4 plus 1/4 4 times would be 4/16.
Say it again.
No, because I don't think it's right. I said, well, 1/4 4 times would be 4/16, wouldn't it?
1/4 4 times? 4
No.
copies of 1/4.
No, that's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I see the 1/4 too, but I don't know.
Okay, so does anyone want to discuss whether do you think that this first little square is 1/16 or 1/4? Because that's going to relate to this. Is this 1/2 or is it not 1/2?
Can I kind of like jump in and say what I think? So for
Please.
this one, I feel like you have to break them into all the equal parts. So won't they even be smaller than thirds? Like don't you have to put a common denominator between them? The 1/2 and 1/3?
So what you're saying is you would like it to look like this picture over here where they're all the same size. So you have to figure out how to break these so they would all look the same. Yeah. And
So you could like label it like the first row with 1/2, you could label that like A, and then beneath you could say B is the 1/3 row. And then you could see like what do they have in common? They could both become 6. The 6.
All right. So you got a common denominator between 2 and 3?
Yes.
And made it 6? So then you'd break up these into 6 pieces for this first row and 6 pieces for the second row?
Mm-hmm.
And then what would you do?
Well, we would know that 3 would have to be shaded on the top, and then 2 are shaded on the bottom.
Okay, so there would really be 3 things here and there'd be 2 things here, but how big are they?
So together, wouldn't that be, would that be 5/12?
Where'd the 12s come from?
Well, because we have 6, there's going to be 6 equal parts on the top row and then 6 on the bottom for both A and B. So together there's going to be 12 pieces, and then we know that 3 and 2 will be 5 shaded.
Ah, interesting.
Alyssa, you look very confused.
I'm like, that's not 4/16 though.
Wait, that's not 4/16.
Well, because
No, not 16.
I know, but okay, so A and B don't build off each other, they're just
No.
separate?
Yeah. Yeah, these are completely separate.
Okay. Maybe we should do C and then I'll get it.
You're funny. Did you finish B?
I have no idea if it's finished.
Do you,
Listen,
under-
I'm gonna text you.
do you understand where these 12s come from?
Yeah, I understand that because she had to get the common denominator, and then she did what you do
Well-
to the bottom, you have to do to the top, and then you add it.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Is our common denominator 6 or is it 12? Here's the biggest problem you're having right here, Alyssa.
I know.
It goes back to our favorite conversation of all semester. What is the unit? So what is the whole? So you're saying this is 1/2 right here.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying this piece is 1/2, and I'm saying it is not 1/2. It is 1/2 of that first row,
Yes.
but it is not 1/2 of that shape.
No.
Yeah. So therein lies your problem.
Okay.
Because if I add 1/2 plus 1/3, how many of you would agree that 1/2 plus 1/3 would be way too big? That would not be true about what part is shaded of this. If I add 1/2 and 1/3, I'm almost at a whole, right? Does it look like almost all of this figure is shaded? No, it does not.
No.
So that's why we can't use 1/2 and 1/3. You need to look at this piece as what part of the whole.
Gotcha.
And one strategy is to make all the pieces the same size, which is what McKenna was saying, which is how McKenna got 5/12. So you guys can discuss this problem all you want. You just cannot discuss this problem. Yes?
Okay. Got it.
But if you can figure out this problem, you can definitely figure out this problem.
Okay.
I promise you.
Can't wait for 7:20.
Are you tonight? I'm so excited, Alyssa.
Yep, I'll be there.
So unfortunately, if you don't pick number 3, will I?
Yeah, probably.
So you make that choice, right?
I'll have a better poker face problem. Promise.
That's okay. Someone logged on yesterday. I don't remember who it was. And they go, the only one I'm not prepared for. And I was like, no, don't tell me because I pick.
Why would she say that?
Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing that is really hard for me, it's really easy for me if you just put each question on its own electronic document because my eyes wander. Let me tell you. So you share your whole document and I'm like, oh no, I can see number 5.
It looks wrong. Let me
Do
ask
I pick number 5 or do I avoid number 5? So put them on separate papers. So I promise you it's a better idea. Okay, what else? Other questions do we have? And then I got to take a break in 4 minutes because then my finals start at 2. Who's at 2? Kelsey.
I'll
And
see
then
you.
Tyler. Yeah. Okay, so any questions, Kelsey or Tyler, since yours is eminent?
I think I'm pretty good for number 3. I think I figured it out. And after seeing that, I have a much better, clearer understanding that I do have it down. So
Nice. So you're going to pick number 5. I'm just kidding.
if I don't, I mean,
Nope,
well,
we're gonna pretend we're not even there. We're not
Yeah.
even going there. But do you have any other questions, concerns?
I think I'm pretty okay. For some of them, like because it required like what you had already put onto the document, I have like a transition of like my notebook and then like I have it say, hey, see on there. Is that okay that I just flip flop back and forth if I need to?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I have them both scanned in. So I just wanted to make sure before like I got to there and you're like, oh wait, it has to be all on the same page.
No, you're fine.
Then I'll see you at 2:40.
Yay, I'm excited. Kelsey, how about you?
I'm doing good. I think I did after our meeting on the 3rd question, I kind of like did it by myself and just watching you, I feel really good about it. So
Yay. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Essay's like, nope, I'm just listening, soaking it all in, getting all ready. Because when is yours? Oh, yours is until tomorrow.
yeah.
I'm just listening too.
Oh, good, Vanessa. You're going to be all ready. And tell Betty when you meet with her, sorry she had tech issues today, but she can watch the end of this video too.
Yesterday we were having tech issues too. We met yesterday
Yeah.
and we had to do over the phone.
Yeah. It's
They're
just
like,
bad lately.
sorry.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Bethel?
The answer to number 2,
Yeah.
to the little model.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the answer?
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
Oh, I don't know. What'd you get?
I don't know. I still don't know how she got 5/12.
Okay, so she said, I remember McKenna said she split the top row into 6 pieces and the bottom row into 6 pieces. Did you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if are we doing shaded or unshaded? Because she was doing shaded.
Yeah, I shade that and then one. Okay, hold on. Two-thirds. 1, 2. Yeah.
So how many did you have shaded in the first row?
1/2 would be
Wait, once you split it into 6 pieces.
3. Oh, I see where you got the 5. Okay. Okay, now okay.
Are you better?
Yeah, okay, I think I could figure this out now.
Yay, good. Excellent. Any other things? Okay, deep breaths. You got this. Okay, Kelsey, 20 minutes. I'll see you in 20 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, bye. Pick which one you want first.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Vanessa. Bye, Kelsey.